So those of you who've been paying attention, we've added a new feature in our Patreon reward system, and that is a Discord server. We've given access to some of our members of the Patreon program, or all of our members of the Patreon program, rather, access to our Discord server. And it gives us a chance to talk directly to the people who open their wallets to us and tap them for ideas. And I was a little tight for ideas going into the next batch of metafixes because, well, new rules around the corner. So for the next 3 weeks, we have this little space where we're waiting for the mighty Thor, seeing what it brings for the meta, and then seeing what the rulebook that comes with it brings. So it's time to talk more consistently about higher topics. And one of them that came up on the Discord server from some of our players, and I can't believe I haven't covered this, is in regards to etiquette and manners. It's one of those things that Heroclix players as a whole, we're really good about. We're really polite players. Some players newer to the game, a little nervous about things. So I wanted to put this out there for those of you kind of getting into it, getting into the heat of competitive play. A lot of people will go into the idea of competitive play as, oh, gung-ho, must-kill kind of idea. And that's not always the case. On the table, we're all gung-ho trying to kill each other's pieces. But we're doing it in a game we all have fun in. So being, as good as you can about your manners with each other, it can go a long way. Not being too strict about, what your opponent can and can't take back, is very important. Now, I personally have a rule: if no dice have been rolled, no dials have been moved, nothing has been changed, any element of the game has been changed in a massive way, I generally let people take a certain number of things back. Let's not let them go crazy with it. If you've done like 7 or 8 different free actions, I kind of have to draw a line. It's like, well, let's keep track of them a little better. Just, a little stern but nice. But ultimately, the idea is we're all here playing a game and we're having fun. So we want to be nice to each other. Like I said, the best rule of thumb is if a dial hasn't moved and dice haven't been rolled, you can't take it. You can take it back. All right? That's my personal rule. Come up with your own, but at the same time, we've all got to play on the rules of the game. But ultimately, your opponent, for the next 50 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes, depending on the time limit, is a new friend. A chance to meet somebody, be nice to them, etc. During that time, you'll get into conversation. Don't make it linger too long because we are playing the game. But let's, keep the words nice. Sometimes in a game, things will go wrong. Dice will go wrong. Mistakes that you made go wrong. Critical misses happen. Critical hits happen. And you'll get a frustrated face. But there's a difference between being frustrated and angry at your opponent and being frustrated and angry at the dice. And it's one of those things some players need to kind of take a step back and recognize what's going on. If you lose to 2 critical hits, well, I lost 2 critical hits. What was I supposed to do about that? Not, well, you only won because of the 2 critical hits. No, I mean, they had to put themselves in a position to get those critical hits off. So they were, trying to hit in the first place. Their hit just got better. Oftentimes, the critical hit isn't the definer. And if it is the definer, you have to go back and find out what's up. You know what I mean? But as far as etiquette in the game, there's a certain number of things that are generally to be expected. For the most part, you should be able to see a dial. But if you have trouble seeing a dial, before you pick a figure up, make sure you ask your opponent, hey, I'm just going to pick make sure they know, I'm going to pick this up just to get a closer look at the dial, see what click it's on and whatnot, right? Feel free to ask, because anything that's showing on dial, showing on card that isn't the dial, is generally information your opponent is allowed to have. What click number are you on? What's your power? And don't get standoffish about these things. As well, your opponent's dice, according to the rules of the game, are allowed to be used by both players. So if your opponent asks to use your dice, by all means, let them. That's perfectly fine. I oftentimes find people using my dice and ask, did you not bring your own, or did you need dice? But, if they're just using mine, I'm okay with that too. My dice might be hot. Sure, go for it. Let's both be hitting. Let's make this a good game. Other things to note, ask for powers, ask to see cards. Make sure you're not looking at the back of them, as the rule is. But of course, as a more familiar player, make sure you bring cards with the colored backs on them. It makes it harder for them to accidentally sneak a peek at their dials that are on the back of them. Any number of things. You can also go etiquette works in a number of manners. Can I see your figure? Can I see your cards is one thing. Letting your opponent use the cards, use the dice. If you have a pack, let your opponent look at the pack, double check the pack. Be patient if your opponent has to ask a judge on a ruling. Neither of you guys are judges. That's why the judges are there. These are all the kinds of things to just remember are parts of competitive play and not reasons to get frustrated. We have to deal with these things, and it's one of those things oftentimes I get more concerned if an opponent gets annoyed that I'm calling a judge, because what's the problem with getting the actual rule? You know, these are all things that can go in a lot of different directions. I oftentimes, you know, when I state a set of rules and my opponent gives me a side eye, I'm ready to say I'll just call the judge to call it. You know, even if it's your ruling and your opponent has any questions, call a judge. These are all parts of the etiquette of the game. Shake your hands before, shake your hands after. You had a game. It was fun. Win or lose, that's what you came out there to do, is play. And, you know, sometimes the game is frustrating. Blame the dice. Blame a certain number of things. But don't get angry at your opponent. They're a nice person. They're here to play the same game that you like. You guys have something in common. You both play Heroclix. But these are a lot of things that a lot of players kind of look at and don't, you know. I hear a lot of people requesting or asking or saying, hey, this guy's a jerk, or a certain number of things, or, you know, they say a certain number of this and that. And these are all the things that kind of prevent these things. If your opponent is standoffish, there's not much you can do except kill him with kindness. It's the best suggestion I have. Because if you're too nice to them, they start to feel like a jerk. But that's the nuts and bolts of it. So be polite, let people touch things, use things, be cool with each other. Let my wife laugh from behind the camera as I talk about touching things. And always remember that these are good practices. You know what else is good about practice? It makes your team better. Have a good night, everybody.